I want to play a little musical selection because it's very instructive. I think we know that France Calvin commissioned a psalter. Didn't quite get a complete one. I think that maybe started in Strasbourg, but Louis Bourgeois, um, Clement Moreau was involved, and there was one other. I can't remember the name now. You can find some recordings, CDs, and videos on YouTube that have some of these Genevan psalm tunes. We sing many of the tunes, and of course the Canadian Reformed Church has a complete Anglo Genevan Psalter, meaning they sing the psalms to the same tunes that they were sung in Geneva, right down to the numbers. They follow it exactly. In our new Psalter, the Trinity Psalter hymnal has lots of Genevan tunes. They can be difficult to learn at first, but they're all quite good and worth learning. But what you're going to hear in this psalm that I'll play, it's about 3 minutes. You're going to hear it's going to start Genevan, meaning it's in one part. It's sung in unison. I think homophonic, homophony. I don't know if that's the way that's pronounced. But then it's going to transition to the way the Huguenots would have sung it. And as it's my understanding, reading I've done, is that the more complex arrangements of psalms, these psalm tunes that were common to the Reformed in Switzerland, who were associated with Geneva, and with the Huguenots, they all were singing the same texts and tunes, but the Huguenots turned them into something for social entertainment. If families would get together, they would have 4 sheets that would fold out. There's a special sort of book or folio, and you would stand around it, and the people at the party or the gathering would each, they would do part singing, and they had a great time doing it. But it was much more complex and kind of ornamented than Calvin would have been familiar with. So the first verse or two we'll hear may sound something like they sang in Geneva, and then you'll hear the Huguenot flavor. So let's listen. Absolutely love that one, and there are many good ones, but you can find those recordings, and they're of such the arrangements are of such quality that you'll still find secular groups singing them around the world. So it's really something.
Now, you might not be aware of that, but what you just heard is what I like to call 16th century punk rock, because the
Yeah.
Psalms are the original
You would
punk
say
rock.
that. You would say that, Dan.
Yes,
Yeah.
Resby and I are old punkers. So this is like listening to Black Flag in 1982.
Well, it's pretty
The
hard.
Huguenots, the Huguenots would sing the Psalms on their way to worship every Lord's Day. And especially in places like Paris, where they worship, they were only allowed to have their church on the outskirts of the city in Charenton. They would sing the Psalms on the way to worship, and just hearing the Psalm sung incensed the Roman Catholics, and they would throw rocks and rotten fruit. People were killed. There was
Wow.
attempted murder on the way to church just by singing the Psalms. So, of course, we sing to praise God, but one of the added benefits of singing the Psalms is that it angers the enemies of God. That's why the Psalms are the original punk rock.